Powerful explosives are taking a terrible toll among U.S. troops in Iraq. But just days after U.S. officials blamed Iran's leaders for shipping those deadly weapons to Iraq, President Bush is now backing away from that claim. Does the United States have the goods on Iran or not? Let's go live to our senior Pentagon correspondent, Jamie McIntyre. Jamie?
Wolf, the question is, what does the intelligence show? And when a low-level intelligence officer's opinion conflicts with the President of the United States, you can bet the President has the last word.
After weeks of promising to get it right, the U.S. military got it wrong. An anonymous civilian intelligence officer in Baghdad made the explosive charge Sunday that high-tech armor-piercing bombs, so-called EFPs, were being smuggled into Iraq by Iran's Quds Force under direct orders from the highest levels of the Iranian government. It took the commander-in-chief to set the record straight.
We know they're provided by the Quds Force. We know the Quds Force is a part of the Iranian government. I don't think we know who picked up the phone and said to the Quds Force, go do this, but we know it's a vital part of the Iranian government.
The fact is, the U.S. military does believe the Quds Force is acting on orders from Iran's supreme leader. But that's a strong suspicion, not something the U.S. can prove, especially to a skeptical international audience.
I think people want to hype this up. What we are saying is that within Iran, weapons and munitions are being manufactured that are ending up in Iraq.
The U.S. military now says that anonymous official went beyond the intended scope of a briefing that was only supposed to show the extent of Iranian weapons in Iraq, not conclude who sent them there.
Military analyst was making an inference as to where the chain of command existed for the Quds Force.
But that briefer's inference was never approved or endorsed at the highest levels of the Pentagon, which still refuses to point an accusing finger at Iran's leaders.
That does not translate to that the Iranian government, per se, for sure, is directly involved in doing this.
Wolf, here's the backstory. There was a major mix-up in signals. The U.S. military in Baghdad thought it was doing a routine briefing about the threat to U.S. troops from Iranian-made weapons. Meanwhile, here in Washington, officials were touting it as the definitive case against Iran. The result was an unexpected bombshell and a briefing that, frankly, laid an egg. Wolf?
And to a certain degree, whether it's General Pace or President Bush, they're learning from the mistakes in the build-up to the war in Iraq that unless they really know for sure, they can't guess about it, they can't surmise about it, they have to have hard evidence. They're not going to necessarily go with a specific point of view. They're going to try to be as precise as they can be.
In fact, this particular briefing went through at least 17 different revisions to make sure that nothing was in it that couldn't be supported. But then one of these intelligence officers, pressed by a reporter, offered an assessment that was a little bit off the page.
All right, thanks for that, Jamie McIntyre at the Pentagon.